mean, we we deliver much more information than we give ourselves credit for, in both directions, meaning we don't realize how much information we send when we talk, and we
Yeah.
also don't realize how much information we receive when we listen.
Yes.
You ever like talk to somebody and you're just like, I don't know, I just like this person. And then you talk to somebody else and you're like, I don't know what it is, but
There's something
I
off.
don't, I
Not
don't
my
know. It's
person.
the deodorant or something. They didn't wear enough speed stick. I don't know, but you're like, I don't. What is it?
Mm.
And the tone of voice is transmitted. I mean, what they're able to do now with voice. I mean, there are people that their diseases can be diagnosed through your
Wow.
voice.
Yes.
Like, this is phenomenal. Like, we
Mm.
can listen to a sample and go, we think you have, you know. And so, with such a powerful vibratory instrument of communication, it's like, of course, we look at people that are performers and we're like, wow, like, singers or actors and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but what about that just every day? And that would became the question. That was like, well, how do you deal with that? How do you, um, am I doing, um, is there more that can be done? So Never Split the Difference comes out in 2016. I picked this book up.
Love that book.
Like,
And Chris
I'm like,
Voss, legend.
hey, that's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Shout out to Chris Boss, right?
Yeah. Shout out to Chris
Um,
Voss.
and so,
Yeah.
you pick up this book, um, and I'm reading about hostage negotiators, and I'm listening to, the steps that he took to, with the suicide hotline
Mm-hmm.
and all this stuff. And I said, okay, it literally took the focus. I remember after I read that book, it gave me, I had already had the desire to kind of test my assumptions. Like, I would read something, or learn something, kind of try to figure out something with my own voice and then test it.
Yes.
But this took it up a notch. I'm like, well, lives are on the line, bad things can happen. So I found myself wanting to do things to kind of put extra pressure on myself. So going to bars, breaking up fights, kind of putting myself in the middle of drama on purpose to see if I could
Amazing.
tonally, de-escalate the situation. Like, is this real? Can just being on a phone or being in the environment with the voice, can that do this? And so, that led to one of my first law enforcement engagements was with a young lady from the ATF who does like the interviews. That's when they got the person and they got the stuff, and you're dealing with all sorts of criminals that do all sorts of heinous things, but you still got to talk to them and make them feel comfortable enough to tell you everything.
Yes. Wow.
And worked with her, and then was approached by Michael Neela from Blue Courage, and they work with police officers. He's a retired Illinois chief, and he came. He said, police officers learn command and control. That's how they learn to talk. And so very assertive. You will do what I tell you. Tonality,
Mm.
which there is a place for that. But what
Yes.
happens is that, you know, he was saying that policing, that's a very small percentage of the job. He's like, those moments where that has to be there, it's not as often as you would think.
Mm.
Um, but when officers are better on the field, when they're able to communicate differently and people, respect them differently, they're looked at like they're special, like they're unicorns. So he's like, can we work together? And so I worked with Blue Courage. That opened up a relationship with the San Francisco Police Department. And I remember the last live session that I did uh, before the pandemic was the day the NBA shut down. Like I did the presentation with SF, go and get a burger. They're like, the NBA shutting down. This is like, you hear whispers of this stuff going on, and you're like, okay, you don't know what's going on. But something about the NBA turning off said it's probably a good idea to go home. But then during that time, the George Floyd situation happened. And, you get on with SFPD. And what was interesting was, what am I going to say? You're in this kind of work. It's like, what am I going to say now? And, when we think about tonality, the tone is not just in the quality of vocal sound, but it is in your choice of words. Like if you look at like the Black Swan group and what they do with what they teach, in sequencing words to change the perspective, right? Or anybody that does any form of training, sales training, there's certain words put in a certain order, certain ideas, certain turns of phrase that can also set the tone.
Yes.
So you're like, well, what do you say? We get on the call. First words are, whenever a firefighter puts on his uniform or her uniform, they're the hero. America is on fire right now, and you're the only ones that can put it out.
Wow. Just got shivers. True. Wow.
And so this work of, if you're going to want to affect some sort of change, just knowing where you are and knowing that people have, like everyone's life, no matter where they're at, they're trying to solve real issues, big or small, it's real to them. And if you're going to engage, how do you put them in a frame of mind to shift and do something different or believe that they can? And that's always been the focus of, or rather that has become something that mattered to me that I didn't realize mattered to me as a theme in communicating. Like, we can do better, we can do more. And okay, here's something that we can improve. And so, that's really, I could talk about, the speaking engagements and, the work and all that stuff. And speaking at corporate and speaking for this place, or, doing these kind of trainings for sales teams and stuff like that. The thing that those very lucrative to the bottom line, the thing that stands out is when people have these interesting breakthroughs in their lives because they have a new lease on it, a new reason to believe that they're doing something important. Not important to everyone, but important. Because we're not important to everyone. No one is important to everyone.
Very true.
But if you're important to somebody, and you know that, and you believe that, well, then what would you do? And so that's really what the work has become in one way or another.